The train has left the station and is rolling down the tracks, and if you missed the Will Benson hype train, you better run to catch up. Choo choo!
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to another Locked On Reds podcast. Locked On Will Benson is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Stephen Offenbaker. His name is Jeff Carr. He is going to be impossible today, but we are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans. We are lifelong baseball fans. We love the Reds. We love this sport, and we love talking baseball with you. We've been doing it for about 14 years in podcast form. On today's show, Will Benson, he did his revenge tour. You were right. Will Benson went off over the weekend, leading the Reds, really a big part of a 3-game sweep of the Cleveland Guardians. He's not the only reason they won, but he's a big reason they won for sure. We're going to be talking a little bit later about why it is that Nick Krall can't get distracted by what Will Benson just did. We'll tell you what Will Benson's performance means and what it doesn't for the Cincinnati Reds. And of course, we are live here on YouTube today. We appreciate you being in the comment section. We will be getting to your questions and comments a little bit later, where we let you drive the ship on today's show. That is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets back when your first $5 bet wins. Check out FanDuel.com today to get started. All right, Jeff. Where we're going to get started is talking about the solid performance of Connor Joe. Because no, that's not where we're starting, is it?
No, sir, because the weekend was owned by Will Benson. All the power in the world. I'm going to tell you what, though, Steve, it's not just the fact that he's got 5 home runs in 4 games, which is pretty freaking awesome, but he's had a couple of multi-hit games, multi-homer game on Sunday. He is looking good. He is looking loose. He is looking ready to go. This is something that he talked about with Jim Day really after the first game where he hit a home run, where Jim Day asked, what's different? And he's just like, honestly, I'm just enjoying being up here. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the work behind it, and I'm not taking it for granted. I think what you can infer based on what he didn't say there was last year, I got into a slump. And then I was worried about the slump, which made the slump worse. And then by the time I realized it, I've been in a slump for an entire year. And now he's back, and he's understanding that each day, each at bat, each pitch is a gift. It's an opportunity, and he is just taking that gift and running with it. I couldn't be more happy right now because we've been seeing that big smile of his a lot recently.
5 home runs, 11 RBIs, a stolen base, 3 walks. He's doing really well, Jeff. 367, 424, 933 OPS plus of 258. Now look, obviously those numbers are not going to hold. This is not who Will Benson's going to be over the course of the rest of the season. I don't know that he'll play the rest of the season, but I've said this about other players. I said this when Noelvi Marte got hot. I said this about the catcher situation as Austin Wynns and Jose Trevino were hot. You ride the hot hand for as long as that lasts, and a smart manager will keep running that dude out there until there's a reason to make a change. So as long as Will Benson's hitting like this, every time there's a right-hander on the mound, he needs to be in the lineup.
Yeah, and that I definitely want to dive into the right-handed thing and stuff like that here a little bit later on in today's show. But kind of working back to Will Benson right here, what I'm seeing from him, I don't believe that we need to worry about what he was last year. I think he's put that behind him. He's forgotten about that, and he is moving right along because I really think that what he is doing at the plate this moment, the things that he is currently, the way that he is approaching his at-bats, it's going to change a little bit. He's seen a lot of pitches in the strike zone right now. He's seen a lot more than the league average. League average is just over 50%. He's seen almost 59%. of the pitches in the zone. He's going to start seeing some pitches outside the zone, but he's not chasing. And that's not something that he's ever really had problems with in his career. He has reasonable plate discipline. It's just his bat has been a little bit slower last year, but this year it's above league average. And that is where I'm really excited about this. And quite frankly, when a guy's on this hot of a tear right now, you would expect his batting average on balls in play to be like 500, but it's like 375. It's above league average. It's saying that he's getting a little bit lucky, but it's not saying that he is all luck right now. There's a lot of this that is performance-based and a lot of this that is repeatable. So do I think he's going to have a 256 OPS plus at the end of the year? Absolutely not. But I also do not expect that we're going to see his WAR go down. I think we're just going to keep seeing it go up. I would expect like 1.5 to 2 is kind of where I'm thinking he will end the season.
Yeah, 0.9 right now. He doesn't have that much farther to go. We've seen this before, Jeff. Not from Will Benson, but we've seen this before. We've seen the outfielder that comes on scene for whatever reason, because there's an injury, because there's a thing, because there's
so much opportunity for
and they go on a tear. Maybe they come and they have themselves a month of August that you'll never forget, or maybe they come and they have themselves a first week after their call up where the ball is just putting dents in the bleacher seats in left field. We've seen this before. It's about consistency. It is about riding the hot hand. Is Will Benson going to be consistently better than he was last year? 2023 says he is better than he was last year. So right. What's the truth? Who's the real Will Benson? Well, it's obviously somewhere in between these two extremes, right? The outliers, I think, were what happened to him in 2024 and what's happening right now. Those are the outliers. If he settles somewhere in the middle and is a 115, 120 OPS plus guy, that's perfectly acceptable to me in the outfield. They need somebody consistent. We thought that was going to be Jake Fraley. It has not been right. Jake Fraley. Don't know that it's ever going to be Jake Fraley at this point. But, Will Benson could fill that role. That role we were okay with Jake Fraley having. That role could be Will Benson. I'm not ready to give it to him, Jeff. I'm just ready to keep riding the hot hand. And what he does with this playing time now moving forward into a series that's very, very important against the Pittsburgh Pirates, well, that tells us a little bit more how he performs over the next series and then the next series. And we see kind of where we're really at with Will Benson and how much can the Reds really lean into relying on him.
See, and let's set that stage for just a moment, because, some may understand what we mean by saying he is more 2023 than 2024, and that's a big deal because in 2023, his OPS plus was 128, and he was limited mostly to playing against right-handed pitchers. He played 108 games, had a total of 287 at-bats. In 2024, he played 128 games, had 343 at-bats, and had an OPS plus of 75 or 76. A 50-point difference. One of those things is not correct, and I don't tend to believe that it's 2023. I think it's 2024 is the outlier, and I think that there's something to the journey that he has been on. All off season, he heard everybody saying, we want anyone else but him. And then he starts off the year in AAA, and he goes crazy. He was hitting like 400 at one point with like 1 billion home runs, and we said, well, it's AAA. Congrats. We need to see it at the major league level. And he got called up for a minute, got a golden sombrero, head right back to Louisville. And everybody's like, yep, we knew what we knew about him. He's not that great. And then he gets called up and he goes crazy. And I don't think that we can just dismiss this as total luck, not something he can build on. This is going to be something that he turns into being a really good piece for this team. I'm not saying he's going to be the cleanup hitter. I'm not saying he's going to be an everyday ball player. We have definitely a couple of points to really address about that here in just a few minutes. But I think it's important to note that everything that he is doing right now should not come as a surprise based on the differences in years. He has done it before, and I think that Terry Francona will continue to put him in a position to continue doing it the rest of the year. But I know this, Steve, based on these 4 games, Nick Krall cannot get distracted because the Reds still have a need. And I don't think Will Benson took outfielder off the shopping list just yet. If you want a snack that's got it all, you need Wonderful Pistachios. I absolutely love Wonderful Pistachios. They taste amazing. The no shells variety are the most convenient things ever. I've actually ran out of mine because I ate them all. I had the jalapeno lime. They were so fresh and very, very crisp and great tasting and very light. Almost a little bit refreshing too, but it had a little bit of a zip to it, and it has what Wonderful Pistachios excels at, protein. 1 ounce serving has 10%, over 10% of your daily value of protein. You got to check out Wonderful Pistachios today. I'm about to go to the store today and get me another bag of the no shells variety with the smokehouse barbecue. They've also got salt roasted. They got salt and vinegar. They've got so many great ones. Chili roast has been my favorite so far. You got to check them out today, because you need to get snacking and get cracking with that snack that packs a protein punch, and that's Wonderful Pistachios. You can learn more at wonderfulpistachios.com. Head there today, head to the store, grab yourself some Wonderful Pistachios. Thanks for always making Locked On Reds your first listen or your second listen, depending on if you're listening to Tim, you listen to us, Tim, Daniel, of course, with the postcast after every final out of every game. And make sure you're subscribed. Become an everydayer. That's how you do so. You hit that subscribe button. Don't miss anything that we've got coming for you all along the way this season. All right, Steve, with Will Benson going crazy, some are wondering, do the Reds need an outfielder? And quite frankly, there are a few reasons why nothing has changed in that regard. The first one that I want to start with is that, okay, all right, Will Benson's had a nice little stretch here. Austin Hayes has played DH more than he's played left field. TJ Friedl, bit of an injury concern. And outside of those, they got a bunch of guys that the Reds are telling us are less than coin flips. As much as I would love to see Rhys Hines get a really good run here, it just kind of feels like the Reds don't trust him enough to give him a really good run. So it feels like they need help.
You know, the fact that Connor Joe is playing pretty much every day tells you all you need to know about the state of this Reds lineup. They are just one more tweaked anything away from disaster. They still absolutely have to go and get an outfielder. Now, Austin Hayes has had a great effect on this lineup and on this team. I think his presence lifts this team up, and it's more than just his play in the field, which has been great. And in the field, I mean, in the games, you're right. He plays DH a lot, but I think there's an element of Hayes is becoming a leader on this team. And you see it, you see him in the dugout with his arms around guys. We saw it with Blake Dunn before Dunn got sent down. You know, Hayes is taking on that role of a mentor, of a leader. And when he's back, this team performs better on the field, and it leads to wins. And that's an effect that you can't measure that he has. But you look around the rest of the group, and it's still a lot more questions than there are any answers. None of the people in that room inspire confidence from a standpoint of being consistently available to deliver big time for the remainder of this season. That's what the Reds have to go out and get. And no matter what Will Benson does, even if he stays on this heater for another 2, 3, 4, however many weeks, you still have got to go out and get more guys to deal with all those other questions, because Will Benson, even if he stays a 250 OPS plus guy, can't play all 3 outfield positions at the same time. It just can't be done. I've checked. You can check me on that, Jeff. You're not allowed to do that. So they've got
Billy Hamilton tried, and he's the only guy that should ever.
Yeah, you just can't do that. So there's still a lot of work to be done. Nick Krall's not off the hook, and the chat, we'll get to this a little bit later when we get into the chat. People are asking, why is Rhys Hines not getting any opportunity? I'm a little bewildered by all that too. Why the Reds feel like Connor Joe is such a better option than Rhys Hines is a little bit beyond me, because I don't know enough about Rhys Hines to make that decision. And if the Reds already know that Rhys Hines isn't it and is not better than Connor Joe, well, what in the world is he doing on the roster?
Right. And I think too, Rhys Hines hit a home run this weekend. He's doing the things that he needs to do with the tiny amount of playing time that he gets, but he just doesn't seem to get any more. And I mean, if you were to ask me, and obviously I'm not the manager of this ball club, but if you were to ask me, who should get more at bats, I would pick Rhys Hines 100 times over 100 over Connor Joe. But that's not what the Reds are telling us. And I wonder a little bit if there's something more behind the scenes that they see. Maybe it's in his preparation and in his process, because, you always hear about players talk about the process. We are not privy to the process. We don't see that process. The coaches do, and guys like that do. So that's kind of one of those things that we just have to take their word for it. And right now their word is saying that Rhys Hines is not getting those opportunities. But even if it was Rhys Hines, I think that that's as a platoon with Will Benson. Or maybe you make Will Benson and Austin Hayes a platoon or something like that. Will Benson can't hit left-handers. We have seen this story before. That's the one thing that if all of a sudden that changed, all right, now we got a different conversation about Will Benson, but I haven't seen that yet. And Terry Francona left him in Sunday against, and I'm like Colby Allard, the left-handed relief pitcher for the Guardians, kind of as a heat check, just to see what would happen. And to Will Benson's credit, he did not strike out, but it was a weak ground ball. And I think that it feels like if he's not striking out against left-handed pitchers, he's hoping for a bit of a BABIP single somewhere. He doesn't have the power, he doesn't have the pitch recognition or the bat speed to catch up to the pitches that he doesn't see when it comes from a left-hander. So that's the bit for me, that the Reds have an opportunity, it feels like, to go get a guy like Luis Robert, or we could even have the conversation about Cedric Mullins from the Baltimore Orioles, or somebody like that who could play every day in an outfield spot. And if they have that on the table and they're looking at what Will Benson has done here recently, and they even consider for a moment leaving that on the table because of what they've seen in the last week, then they are doing a disservice to the roster, something that they have done for the last couple of years.
Where are you at on this? This from the chat. William Wright says, I might give Krall the Austin Hayes move, but other than that, I wasn't impressed with the likes of Ahmed Rosario, Asdrubal Cabrera, Harrison Bader, Will Myers in the past seasons. Nick Krall has taken a flyer on a lot of guys, right? Those names that, they needed a piece. They didn't have, let me correct that. Nick Krall didn't have the financial resources to go get a big name. The Castellanis wouldn't let him do it. So he took a flyer on guys. And to his credit, when those things didn't work, that he got rid of those dudes. He got Jose Trevino right. He got Santiago Espinal right. He got Austin Hayes right. So there are examples of ones he got right as well. Are you in camp, I trust Nick Krall still to go make this move, to go get a guy? Are you in camp, I'm a little leery now of Nick Krall because of some of these moves that he's made? Where are you on, where is your Nick Krall trust meter right now, Jeff Carr?
My Nick Krall trust meter is kind of in the prove it area. Whatever is in the middle of I trust him or I don't trust him.
I thought you were going to say era, and that was going to be the end of the show. I was going to end the stream if you said you were in your Nick Krall prove it era. That was going to be
I was thinking area of the meter. Anyway, I'm not in the camp that distrusts anything that he does, but I'm not in the camp that says that he has the Midas touch here. I get it. He is constrained and he has made moves within his constraints and things like that. But I don't think that he's always made the right move. Jeimer Candelario is a perfect example of that. He was given some money to work with and he picked the wrong guy. So I think that there are definitely some opportunities here for him to prove me right. But I'm not saying that I have zero concern of him proving me wrong on this, because I think that he... And I think it's hilarious that William brought up Asdrubal Cabrera and Harrison Bader on this episode, but those are the perfect things of they just keep throwing darts at a board and hoping one of them sticks. And Connor Joe is like this super waiver wire claim. He didn't hit waivers because the Reds traded for him. Because I'm sure the Giants were shopping him around hey, we're about to get rid of this guy. You want to throw us a bone here? And the Reds were yeah, sure, we'll throw you a bone. We need an outfielder. Let's see what we can get here in Connor Joe. So I don't know how much credit Nick Krall gets for guys like that hit. But you're right. He has made some good moves in Trevino and Hayes and all that stuff. So that's where I'm at, where I'm I'm in the middle. I think that he can do it. He's just got to do it because the last couple of years, he's not done anything about this outfield. And the problem isn't just 2025. The problem is beyond for the outfield, because let's talk about the future, and we'll do this a lot this offseason, so we're not going to get too much into detail at the moment. But like TJ Friedl's 29, Austin Hayes is 29. Austin Hayes has a club option for next year that hopefully the Reds do pick up, but the Reds don't have a great track record of picking up club options. They kind of do that as like a little bit of a enticement to get somebody to sign a deal. But I think if he has a good enough year, he's just going to want to hit free agency anyway. And outside of that, we still don't have that future guy. Like Jake Fraley's not proven it. Will Benson needs to prove it. He's starting to prove it, but he's only beginning that journey. So the future is also the big question when it comes to the outfield too. They need to make a move for now and for the future.
You know, it's funny. The chat is equally as split, Jeff, you know, and I think James kind of nails it. As far as Krall goes, he's doing the best he can with what he's been allowed to do money-wise.
Right.
Couple misses. They're not going to be perfect all the time. But I am in camp. It's time to get consistent. I guess that's the camp I would put myself in when it comes to Nick Krall. He needs to be consistent about getting guys in here that even if they're role players, they fulfill their role versus the Jamer Candelarios of the world. We'll see how it plays out. They definitely still need to go get an outfielder. The chat has some opinions on that, Jeff, and what should be done and how it should go. And coming up, we're going to get to my favorite part of the show. We're going to dig into those questions and comments and put you in the driver's seat the rest of the way. We're going to do that coming up next.
The Reds are rolling. Baseball's rolling. The NBA playoffs are rolling right along. The Pacers headed to the Eastern Conference Finals. You got to get in on all the action over on FanDuel. They're America's #1 sportsbook, and they got a great offer for new users. If you create an account, your first $5 bet that wins gets you $200 in bonus bets. Those are odds you can't get anywhere else. Speaking of odds, looking at Will Benson to hit a home run tonight in Pittsburgh, they have odds on that at 6-1. Can he make it 5 in a row? He's starting to creep up on Joey Votto's streak of 7 games in a row with a home run. Odds on Will Benson to hit one on Monday night in Pittsburgh is 6-1. That's over on FanDuel. Again, new users, $5 winning wager gets you $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of Locked On.
If you can't watch us here on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed in the audio feeds. We're seriously on pretty much every single podcasting app out there. You can take us on the road. You can take us to the gym. You can take us wherever you need us to be if you can't watch us live during these live events. We appreciate those of you that are here live in the comment section, and it's time to get into your questions and comments. The chat has been very, very active as usual. So if you have something you want us to get to and you put it in earlier, feel free to enter it again. I'm trying to make my clicker work, Jeff. It's not working for me. There we go. That one's for you, Jeff. Nice shirt, Jeff.
Will Benson.
So let's get into
other teams.
let's get into what the people want to talk about, Jeff, because we've seen some stuff, and you hit on this a little bit ago when we were doing prep. Here we go. This from WTI Trader. Stephenson is struggling with the bat, swings at bad pitches and watches strikes thrown right down the middle. You were talking about this as we were getting ready to go live, wondering if it's time to start worrying about this. I still feel like Stephenson, Stephenson needs the benefit of the doubt. For him, the season's still in early April, right? This is not, he's not seen near as many pitches as others. So I'm not quite ready to push the panic button, but are you ready to be worried about this?
I don't have the cover off the button or anything like that, but I am putting a pin in it a little bit. And it's only because he has a strikeout rate of 42% right now. That's like ridiculously high and very un-Tyler Stephenson. Like, I am with you. I agree. He's still getting his bat speed up. He's still getting his eye ready, not ready, but still honing in on the breaking balls and things like that. It's what we talked about, last week, where we discussed the fact that the Reds' overall strategy seems to be to control the strike zone. And so with that, they force the other pitcher to throw strikes. Well, when you get called strikes, you got to start getting your bat off your shoulder. And I agree with the commenter's point about that, is that it feels like Tyler Stephenson is looking at a lot of strikes right now. And I think that that's part of him is just downloading, and we've seen him go crazy when the month, turns to June. Like, not quite Kyle Schwarber like, but he still goes crazy and starts to really make his season into what we expect it to be. But I am a little bit, I have it earmarked, Steve, that 42% strikeout rate. I definitely want to see that come way down, and very soon.
Honest Fan is with you. A Hines and Benson platoon the rest of the year, please. I don't know about the rest of the year. I do need to see a lot more of Rhys Hines, though, and know for sure what we know, because I don't know. I don't know what I know about Rhys Hines, other than that I had great seats the week of his debut and had one heck of a time down at Great American Ballpark watching him just destroy baseballs. His first big monster home run to left field, I was in the diamond seat, so I was like right behind him when he did that. Right. That's always going to have a little special place in my heart for that, but I don't know that's who he is. I don't know who he is. We need to find out.
Yeah, we gotta see, right? Like, I don't love the strikeout to walk ratio of 9-1, and 9 strikeouts to 1 walk for him. I mean, he's barely had any playing time whatsoever, a total of 17 plate appearances. But I would like to see more, because I feel like the raw talent is just ridiculous. And he had strikeout problems in the minor leagues and things like that. So, does it work out? Like, I kind of feel like, and this is something that we talked about before Luis May was called up. Let's make a quick bridge of comparison here, where whenever Luis May was called up, I was gravely concerned about the walk rate. And that, so far, knock on wood, has not reared its ugly head when it comes to him pitching. And with Rhys Hines, I think you just got to know. Like, you just got to let him go so that you know what you got. And right now, he has shown the otherworldly power. He has 8 balls in play, 62.5% of those. So I'm guessing that's 5. Is that 5 out of 8? 5 of those are over 95 miles an hour. So he hits the ball a country mile, and he strikes out a lot, which, like, his on-base percentage of 22% and a slugging percentage of 588, like, that's a ridiculous split right there, and kind of tells me a little bit of, yeah, this is kind of who Rhys Hines is. And if he can cut the strikeouts down, maybe just a pinch, maybe that's what they're looking for in him, because they just don't seem to want to give him enough time to prove it.
Kerry checking in, asking, so what happens when folks come off the injured list? Who goes down? What are the moves? I know Jim Day was giving a lot of injury updates over the weekend, and we haven't really touched on any of them. Jeff, is there anybody that you're excited about the news from? Or
I mean, the news is good on Hunter. I'm still expecting that he starts the Cubs series on Friday, unless there's some other sort of update where they say, maybe he needs a rehab outing or something like that. But I don't think that happens. Other than that, though, there really wasn't an update like, oh, this guy's close. Like, Jamie Candelario went out to Arizona to start working out. He's not begun a rehab assignment just yet, and it doesn't sound like that's coming soon. They're trying to make sure that he can even get to that point. And CES is kind of in that same boat where it's like, maybe soon they start a rehab assignment. But again, there's a really good shot that either one or both of those guys, when they begin a rehab assignment, they take the full extent of the 21 days. So, even if they said today that CES is beginning a rehab assignment today, I'm not expecting to see him till June, 10th, like 9th, whatever that is. Like, so I think that right now we don't have to worry about who's being sent down. But if it were tomorrow, I think, Rhys Hines is kind of on the block for that. Maybe Austin Wins. They're just not playing Austin Wins like I thought they would. Like, they're not trying to get into the lineup like I thought they would.
And his numbers are still good.
Right.
Not a lot changed with him, but I kind of like that. I like that they didn't decide to go bonkers with a guy that's playing a little over his head. But you just do that in short bursts, and you roll with Trevino and Stevenson. I don't mind how they're using him. What about this, Jeff? Because I don't know where I land, but here we go. Alexander says, if McLean struggles against the Pirates this series, he needs to be sent down to let him get it right. I just don't see how they send him down. I just don't see it.
It's been a struggle for sure, but if you look at how he's been doing on a per game basis. Yesterday was the first time he didn't get on base in 17 games, or no, 18 games. Sorry. He had a 17 game on base streak going into yesterday. So as much as the batting average isn't showing it, he still is getting on base 30% of the time. There's a split there of over 100 points comparative batting average on base. So when the batting average does get going, that on base might get close to 400. I still think that he's got it in him to really bounce back. He's hitting ninth tonight. I did see the lineup. He's hitting ninth. Tyler Stephenson's hitting eighth. So Terry Francona understands that these guys are struggling, and he's kind of bumped them down in the lineup as so. But I don't think you can take his glove off the field. Like, Gavin Lux is a fine second baseman. Matt McLain is an elite second baseman. And it's just he's not hitting right now. I think his bat's going to catch up pretty soon, though.
I think somewhere along the way last week I said make Matt McLain the 9th hitter and see if he could become the best number 9 hitter in baseball. I think I said that.
Yeah, that was that was a fun time in 2023 when we had about Will Benson. So maybe Matt McLain can take that over, at least for the short term.